What is up, everybody? Good morning. Good morning. It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And also, I host now officially, co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care and Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization, and the only one in the world that Dove Men Plus Care is sponsoring. Very humble to that. We got some really exciting news coming up on that. I'll probably share a bit of it here, but this is the morning vibe. As always, like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We're broadcasting live on May 27th out here in Toronto. It's like a grayish, rainy day. It's supposedly going to be raining all day, which is not totally a bad thing. You know, the grass got to grow, gardens got to do their thing. Say good morning to the Naked Property with Osai. Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning. Actually, Osai knows Perry. We actually had a conversation offline this week. I know Perry. I know him. I know you guys. Keep up the great work. You are so used to seeing my partner here I would say partner in progress. I was going to say partner in progress, Ryan Knight. He is not with us today. His daughter is not feeling well. So, hey, family, God first, no problem. That is great. But I'd like to say thank you for everyone for taking the time to watch the Morning Vibe live and on the replay. We can't do it without you. And hey, that's all about. So let's get to it. And not long, we're not going to banter back and forth today because Ryan and I usually catch up, but he's not with us today, so we'll get right to our friend. And he's a returning friend. Actually, he's a three-timer in a short period of time, Perry Douglas. And first he came on about an article he wrote about the Black North, and even up to this week, and that was back on April 25th, even up to this week, people are contacting me about the article, his appearance on the show, and like his first time he was on, we couldn't even get through all the questions and all the comments. We had to have him back on that Friday. Actually, one of the people that reached out to me, I hadn't heard from him in 3 or 4 years. And another gentleman, I'm not going to give names, but people that I've known for a long period of time, they were saying, hey, who is this guy? Like, what's going on? Can you give me the link? I need to see it, etc. This, that, and the other thing. So we have Perry back today. He has written another interesting article that I think is going to definitely cause some good conversation and good thought. And before we go any further, I'm just going to show you the article right here. So the recent article he's written is going to come up on our screen in just a moment. It's called Keeping It Real, a Renaissance in Black Thinking. So many people would say, yeah, we need to do some different thinking, because the thinking that we've used for the last little while isn't making us move forward in a progressive way. So that is the name of the article, but we just don't want the article. We want the person. So what is up, Perry Douglas?
How you doing, brother? Everything's good, man.
How about you?
Yeah, well, things are good. Family's well, making it through the day. So, all well, man, all well.
Good. What sort of reaction have you had from some of your appearances on here?
I've been getting calls from different people. Saying, finally somebody is speaking the truth, and people are saying, hey, keep up the good work. And I'm also getting people calling me inspired, in terms of taking forward their opportunities, their investment ventures. I've had, one person with a significant, technology that they, but they're like, I have to listen to the show. I'm inspired. I had another person in another business space, saying, hey, maybe we can, work together, stuff like that. So it's been all positive, and, like my mother told me, always speak the truth, man.
Good stuff. Have you had anyone pushing back?
No, I honestly haven't had anyone pushing back. And usually I want people to push back, because I do this not to, I do this for people to have discussion and to open it up. I may not always be right, but I purposely try all my writing comes from a position of fact. Okay, so I use, I try to, my writing is opinionated, but it's, I try to put a little scholarly into my article, because I have to back up everything I say, and I don't like to say anything unless I could back it up. So I tell people, listen, if we're going to have a discussion, you better come loaded and to back up what you're saying, okay? Because back in the day, if you were writing something, you had to have sources, you had to, you have to back stuff up. Now in Facebook, people can put whatever the hell they want, and they think they know what they're talking about, and that's the problem in the society today. People, like I keep saying, Facebook makes you stupid, right? If you don't use it properly and understand what it is. So it's been it's been positive. I've finished editing. I'm almost done editing my book, but every time I edit it, there's something else. And I actually had somebody reach out to me, says, hey, you know what, I published a book before, this person of mine is a best-selling author. I'm happy to help you with your book.
Wow.
If you want, like, for free, basically, because I just want you to get out there what what you're saying. But I said, hey, there's no free lunches in this world. If anything, I can give back to you, and we can make a trade.
Yes.
Services. I'm happy to do that, but I'm not taking anything for free.
Excellent. Well, let's get it. This recent article, Keeping It Real, a Renaissance in Black Thinking. What? First of all, why?
Why? I'll tell you, actually, I think I was kind of inspired by some different events. And Black people, I feel, are always thinking in the same way. Like I said, when I wrote the article about, the peril of the Black North, everything is emotional, right? Everything is non-calculative. Everything is not based on doing the math, right? Everything is not based on evidence, right? So, for example, the other day with the Buffalo shooting, right? All of a sudden now, everybody's jumping up and down about Black people under threat, terrorism against Black people. Okay, well, where's the evidence of that? And Black people have been under threat for the longest time. Now, all of a sudden, there's a shooting, you want to start demonstrating or whatnot. So we get very easily distracted. And obviously, a couple of days ago, there was another shooting. So what I'm trying to say is we get too easily distracted from the main thing. Okay, we run out like squirrels all over the place, but we don't focus on the main thing, and we're not honest with ourselves. We don't actually say and do the things, or think and do the things that is necessary to advance ourselves, and we get caught up in superfluous, things that has no basis in fact. All right. So the Buffalo shooting, all of a sudden you want to start demonstrations now. You want to start Black people terrorism is under threat. Well, no, we should still be focusing on the long term, educating our kids in math and sciences, focusing on how to, run businesses, and focus on the long term. This is not a short, success is not a short-term thing. Success is a long-term thing. And whenever you get distracted by emotion, okay, you divert yourself from the main thing. And we have to stick to the main thing. And we also have to be truthful and honest. And I want people to understand, if you don't understand the universe, you're going to suffer, okay, by the universe. The universe is going to make you suffer if you don't understand it and live in a delusional state of reality. So that's, in a way,
Okay. And how did you come up with the title?
Funny thing is, a good friend of mine, actually, a friend of mine said to me, "Oh, you're always keeping it real, right?" And people are always to me, "You know what? You keep it real." So I just said, "Hey, keeping it real." And a renaissance in Black thinking is necessary, because every society goes through a renaissance in order to change. And renaissance, and you have to go through a renaissance in thinking before you can make change. Because what we do is we react. Okay, we're reactive. We're not proactive as a community. We are always reactive, jumping up and down to the next thing. We need to be calculative and more proactive. So we have to have a renaissance in thinking. Look, 16th century, 15th century, Europe, they went through a renaissance, enlightenment period. Every society goes through a renaissance in terms of thinking, because if you can't think, then you can't act, and you don't have a strategy for the future. So we need to sit and think, right, about what we're doing, and ask ourselves and be truthful and honest with ourselves. How's it working for us? And if it's not working for us, don't be afraid to think. Don't be afraid to step out of the line and say, hey, we have free will. The whole thing about life is about individualism. Don't get caught up in the crowd, because you know what? The crowd is never right. Okay, it's always the minority who ultimately ends making change. So the whole point here is that, we got to start thinking differently, because the thinking that we've been doing has us at the bottom rungs of the universe. So if we want to, as Einstein said, we can't change our existence, okay, or we can't solve our problems by using the same thinking that the problems were created in the first place. Einstein said we need a new dimension of thinking in order to solve our problems, which makes absolute sense. So we need that new dimension of thinking in order to change ourselves, because the same old is not working, evidently.
Well, and thank you for sharing that. Let's go back to the base. Where have we gotten, and I'll say, in your opinion, the black and white, where does our black thought originate from? The thought that you think isn't correct. Do you have an historical basis for us?
Sure.
Where has it come from? What's the basis of it?
Sure. It comes from Christianity, and it comes from religion, our over dependence on religion, right? So what happens is, from a colonial perspective, from the transatlantic slave trade into the plantation system, okay, then into colonialism, okay, and then into neocolonialism. And neocolonialism simply means you're still being controlled by the Western states via money. The UN, development agencies, development banks, they control you still via finance. So that's neocolonialism. But everything dates back to religion. And the issue is that we are not making decisions based on the reality of the universe. Like I said in the article before, listen, the sun is the center of the universe, not the earth. So we have to base our decision making and our logic on fact. If we base our stuff on fantasy and stories, we will never succeed in the universe, because that's not fun. That's not true, right? We can think and say what we want, but the only thing that matters in the end is what is true, right? Like I said, as Gandhi said. So truth is the only thing that's true, right? Everything else is a figment or a delusional state of existence. So when you live in a delusional state of existence, what ends up happening to you is you're creating problems for yourself that's unsolvable, because it doesn't exist in reality. Okay, reality is the only thing that exists. All right, it's as simple as that. You can talk about anything you want, right? And what has happened with religion for Black people specifically, I wrote an article a while ago called "Amazing Grace," and what I did is I used that song "Amazing Grace" to talk about how the slaves used, spirituality, not religion. So that song "Amazing Grace," in terms of how it is transformed from England, from England to the slave plantation systems. Those slaves were not using Christianity. They were not using religion. They were using spirituality. They were using the feel of a higher power, a God, but it was spirituality. They didn't know anything about Christian doctrines. Okay, they didn't know anything about that, but they needed a form of spirituality to survive the brutality of slavery, right? So the slaves, even back then, understood the difference between spirituality, right, and religion, doctrine, dogma, religion, ideology, and they practiced it for their survival. Okay, but now, so the slaves were able to intellectually do that, but now it's like we've gone backwards. right? We are the only race of people that a religion was created for us, and Christianity is a religion of white supremacy. It's as simple as that, right? It's as simple as that. And if you are practicing a religion, you should actually know the history of the religion, and you should know the basis of the religion, and you should understand in practice how the religion affects your life and affects your subconscious thinking. Because when you exist in a subconscious universe, you can't progress. So that's a long answer to saying is that we exist too much on emotion and less on intellect, right? We have to move to exist on intellect and math, right? Math. When I say math, I don't mean go doing math equations. Everything in your brain is a mathematical equation. For you to get, like in calculus, for you to get from here to there, there's a series of small calculations. We have to start thinking consciously like this to understand the return on investment, to understand. But we blow ourselves away by getting too overly controlled by religion and emotion. And until we become more intellectually inclined, right, we will continue to be where we are. It is what it is, right? You can't say, hey, you can't. Who you are is not what you say; it's what you do, right? And we have to be conscious more of what we do and not what we say, and stop romanticizing racism and all these type of things.
Okay. Do a quick reset here for people who have just joined us live or on replay. We're talking with Perry Douglas about his recent article, Keeping It Real, A Renaissance in Black Thinking. And we're having, as usual, another epic conversation here on the Morning Vibe. If you are used to seeing Ryan is not with us today. His daughter's not feeling well, so he's taking care of his daughter. I want to ask then, what many of us who look like us grew up through the church. Are you critical of the thought process that the church has exposed to many people who look like us?
Well, I'm just going to lay the facts out as they are, right? Okay, let's look at the church from the Caribbean. The church from the Caribbean, if people can remember, it is a missionary situation. The church in Canada, the residential schools. Okay, so the whole thing about Christianity is the church, in terms of missionary, is to save the savages from themselves. Okay, and the ministers that came over, there were white ministers leading congregations and whatnot. So the church, okay, is fundamentally, and Christianity is fundamentally a hierarchical religion, and it's essentially white supremacy. Okay, because if you really understand Christianity, if you go through it, and you got to go back to the 1200, 1300, 1100 from the Crusades, understand what the Crusades are about. You have people saying, oh, they're in the Caribbean, oh, they're going to Crusades. You know what the Crusades were about? Murder, genocide, okay, rape and pillaging. That's what it was. So it was easy for them to transform to slavery, right? And it was easy for them to transform and use the church and use religion to prop up. Christianity is the religion that has gone around the world, okay, and stole from people, raped and pillaged, genocide people, okay, transferred people from one continent to the other, kill how many indigenous our indigenous brothers and sisters. So that's what it's about. You can't say that, oh, this is what religion is about, but in practice, religion is this. It is what it is. So you can only judge it based on what it is, not but what it says it is. So what I'm saying is that, look, you can believe whatever you want. Telling people what to believe is above my pay grade. Okay. All I'm saying is, here's the reality. Deal with it. That's what I'm saying.
No problem. We got some feedback already coming, which is always great. We have great family here on the Morning Vibe. Orlando was saying, dropping some real mental bombshells, Mr. Douglas. Harris Marketing has a question. Good morning. Good to see Perry on here again. Perry, you were raised in the church and promoted to your children. That's an assumption. I don't know if it's true.
Yeah.
When did you come to the conclusion that the God of your oppressor is not for us?
So I was 100%. I was raised in the church. My mother raised me in the church because the church, for many of our mothers, and fathers, was one with the struggles, coming to Canada and all those things. The church was one of the things that they found strength in. So, to me, what I'm saying is that I'm trying to get people to understand. I'm here to tell people spirituality, okay, is people, fundamentally what religion was supposed to be about was spirituality. Yourself, the energy in yourself, your connection to the universe, all those type of things, right? But what religious doctrine has done is has changed it. So I've never, I was raised in a church, but I never, in terms of my kids were able to make, their own choices. My older daughter is like, I don't believe in God or whatnot. And the other thing is, morality is not about believing in God or Christianity. We have morality within ourselves and within our own humanity, because if you look at all the crimes that religion has created, the slave trade, the Crusades, the Holocaust, right? So morality is convenient based on when it's needed. So, like I said in the article, Christianity is really good, and white people are really good at telling you to do as I do, but not as I say. To do as I say, but not as I do. Sorry, right? So the question to that is that I'm not really here to tell people in what God to believe in, right? What I'm saying here is the reality of the reality of Christianity in itself. The doctrines of Christianity, the dogma, the ideology of Christianity is false. They're stories. They're Bible stories that have been written by men are corrupt. We understand that. And Christianity is being used to conquer the world. And it's done a fantastic job at it. So in terms of my kids can make their own choices. They have to understand what is their humanity is, what is their compassion, what is their empathy towards another person. That's what's most important. And one of the things I want people to understand, spirituality is real. Because don't forget, your physical body, your biology has electricity in it, right? When you have energy. When you eat, you get energy, right? So the whole connection in terms of your body and your mind and your soul and all those things from a spiritual perspective has energy in the universe. And when you have that positive energy in the universe, when your spirituality is good, it influences other people. You don't need religion to influence other people, and you don't need religion to be good. Okay, what you have to do is be honest and let your spirituality do the work. Because biologically and scientifically, spirituality is real. Religion is stories. Long answer, sorry.
No, it's okay. No, it's all right. The comments are coming strong. Now, naked property aside, the church has been a coping mechanism for poor and Black people. Their church is technically no different than a community center. All churches are subsets of Catholicism, which is demonic. Her opinion. And then Roger Dundas saying, Perry, most people watching are not ready for your message.
Well, that's the problem with our community, right? We're not ready. When are you going to be ready? When are you going to be ready? How much poverty, injustice do you want? Do you enjoy? So when are you going to be ready? That's the whole point. You see, this is why white people succeed over Black people, because we become timid and we don't accept the reality and we don't transfer ourselves to being intellectually inclined. We stay in our emotion. Oh my God, I'm afraid to talk about this. I'm afraid to question my parents. I'm afraid to question this. Well, guess what? Your parents had less information, maybe less education. I don't know. So you know what? They were fine to do that, but you know better now. And when you know better, you have to do better. And at the end of the day,
you have a choice. You have a choice of doing better. Doesn't
you have
necessarily
a choice of doing better.
Yeah.
Bingo. That's the thing. You have a choice now. You have a decision to make. Okay. Are you going to be courageous and make a change, or are you going to wallow, in grief and complain? Like I call it veranda complaining. You have to have courage. Mandela said you need courage in life. okay, in order to make change. So you're right. You have a choice. You can stay where you are and continue in a delusional state of existence, or you can step into the real world and go for it and try to change your situation. You're 100% right, Dr. Vibe. It's all about choice.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciating my limited input. I want to make sure that I want to make it's your articles. I just want to interject every once in a while.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, and you've highlighted for the last few moments some of the ways. What are some examples of how the thinking that you feel many Blacks have, well, how has it held us back? What are some tangible areas where it has held us back? Held us back
in terms of our thinking?
In any sort of realm.
Yeah.
Any sort of realm.
I think, it's hard to pinpoint examples, but I'll just give you a general, right? We tend to think all the time in regards to being a victim, in terms of if something happens, oh, I'm a victim. Oh, Black people are a victim. Oh, we need to do this. Oh, we need to do that. That's a problem. I try to grow my kids. Well, I grew my kids where in their mind, they're entitled like anybody else. They're growing up in a particular area. They got, a mother and father. They can't think like, oh, because I'm Black, I can't do this. Or because if I go into a room, I might be the only minority. Right, my daughter was the only Black person who got into, Ryerson's, heavy film program or whatnot. And at first, she was like, "Whoa, I'm the only Black person in there." But she became a force. She challenged every teacher. She teachers would say stupid shit, and she was like not afraid to be herself and express herself, right? And that's confidence, right? And we have to, if we think we are capable, if like we have the same right to anybody else, and we can't think of ourselves as being a minority as a disadvantage. Listen, the economics is the economics, but if my mother never made me feel that I was a disadvantage, because I always went for everything. I went for the best schools. I went for the top jobs. And that's why I train my kids. So if you think you're a victim, if you think you're because you're Black, you're at a disadvantage, your thinking is going to lead you to behave like that. If you think that, hey, you know what, I can do whatever the hell I want and I can go for it. And if I have obstacles in my way, I'm going to go over them, going to go under them, going to go around them. If you think like that, you're going to progress. But if you think in a victimhood way, you're not going to progress. And that is fundamentally, how it is. It's all about our thinking. How you think is how you're going to act and how you're going to behave. And ultimately, what you do will lead to the results, right? You're going to have challenges along the way. Of course, nobody's stupid. You're going to have challenges along the way. But it's how you take on those challenges. Do you see it as a challenge, or do you see it, oh, I can't go any further? It's all about in your head. The mental manifestation of your reality is significant. So once you understand how the real world works, that's what I'm saying, do the math. Once you understand how the real world works, you're going to say, okay, here's my position, here's where I am. What is my equation to get from here to there? Do the equation, forget about your emotion, and keep going, right? And that's how it happens. But if you over-emotionalize yourself, you're going to start thinking of all these scenarios. Your imagination is going to get wild. Your body chemistry is going to feel bad. You're not going to succeed. So if you just focus on being non-emotional as best, we are emotional beings, so we can't erase that, right? But we have to now, right? We have to now take the challenge of intellectualizing ourselves, okay, doing the math, okay, in order to get from here to there. And that's really, how you have to think. There is no magic bullet. Okay, all civilizations that have been successful has engaged in self-determination, has engaged in entrepreneurship, has engaged. I was visiting my aunt just quickly at the new hospital in Vaughan, the new Cortellucci Hospital in Vaughan, right? And I went in there, and I'm like, All these Italians, listen, they built their own, they came to Canada. Built their business. They built their construction business, and now they build their own hospital. Okay, look, their reality was different than ours, but everybody has stuff to deal with. And if you're sitting there and say, "Oh, my situation is the worst," well, guess what? You're just manifesting it and making it worse. You have to understand simple, okay? Success in the universe is about entrepreneurship, and you need to create wealth. And when you create wealth, you create political power. When you create political power, all of a sudden, justice becomes something that you have. And because justice is not something, sometimes you got to pay for that, but you have to have the political power to move that forward. That's just the reality of the universe. If you think it's not, then you're going to have problems.
Okay, good stuff. So we got a comment here from Michael Smith saying, "I was raised in the church and at an early age saw the hypocrisy of it and left. Agree 100% with Perry. Spirituality over religion." Another comment we have here, the Macmillan Group, one of our sponsors. "Good morning, gentlemen. Perry needs to battle that mindset and administer 3 times daily to our populace until they evolve to the reality of life and living in the world we exist in today." Yeah, we got. I know there are questions. I'll say them till the end or near the end of our conversation. So you've given us history. You've given us some of the effects. Now let's talk about where do we, like, you look at, and I know you talk directly and indirectly about organizations. What concerns you about a number of organizations that are trying to advance Black Canadians and their thinking?
Okay, good question. So if you're talking about the nonprofits, right?
Well, yeah, probably a lot of nonprofits, because I know that's one of your concerns, one of your big concerns.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about their thought process on trying to achieve forward progress?
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to speak in fact, and I'm just going to break down the reality. And the answer is always in the facts, not my opinion. So in the history of the universe, societies have advanced based on economics. Economics is fundamental to our lives. Societies have advanced based on entrepreneurship, wealth creation. Okay? That's how they have advanced. So if the history of the universe tells you that society's long-term prosperity is created via economics, right, and entrepreneurship, okay? If the history of the universe tells you that, and that's what the evidence tells you, there is no other universe, nothing else tell you, facts are facts. Why then do we believe that any type of wealth or power can be created through a nonprofit? Why? That's not true. So what happens now is we continue to be fooled, okay, into believing, all right, that if you create a nonprofit and you fight for rights and a nonprofit now is going to be able to play the role of an entrepreneurship organization. A nonprofit is going to be able, we can talk about FACE again, which is just a joke, right? How can in the real world, if you go to a venture group, private equity venture, it's from people who have money. A lot of time it's their own money because they've succeeded in entrepreneurship, and they're able to. It's like Shark Tank. You go on those guys. Those guys are all wealthy people. They understand. They take an investment in your business. They can help you along the way. So Shark Tank is represented, or whatever Dragon's Den is a representative of, represents how the real world works in terms of moving forward. How can it be that a non-for-profit organization with none of that, none of their own money, okay, none of their own wealth, okay, none of their own success, how are they going to tell you to be an entrepreneur? And second of all, they're not even giving you venture capital. The world works on venture capital. They're tying you to loans, and everybody knows that does not work. So what ends up happening, we get fooled as a community. The rest of the world is going in one direction, okay, but they put us in a hole where we're jumping down, up and down, and seeing, hey, we can get these loans run by these community organizations, which is an agent of the government because they have been selected. Okay? We have to understand the world is very simple. It is still based on entrepreneurship and moving forward. So I don't have a problem with organizations who are focused on, who are focused on education, who are focused on social, programs. I don't have a problem with organizations who do philanthropic situations to helping people, helping single mothers, all those things. Of course, those things are good, and you need those things in society as a backstop because government, can't do that. What I have a problem with is I have a problem with the fraud of telling, Black people that you're going to get government loans and it's going to be run by a nonprofit. Even, for example, here's how ridiculous this is. But what I understand, and I don't have all the facts, so somebody can correct me, a lot of those government loans that came out to a lot of these nonprofits, they're giving it to basketball organizations. What the hell is that? You're giving money for entrepreneurship to basketball organizations and basketball clubs? I can't understand that. Right now, I could understand if that money was going to an organization that focused in on tutoring, math and sciences, trying to get kids to university, because that's what you do. You educate them, send them to university, and wealth will be created, right? I have no problem with that. But some of these nonprofits like Face, it's a delusional state of reality. Okay, that is not how the real world works. So they put you over here in a box, to push you further back, and you're just happy jumping up and down. Yay, I'm getting loans. No, it's pushing you backwards, not forward, because that is not how the real world operates. And those are the things I have a problem with. But like I said, I have a good friend in Montreal who's run a nonprofit organization for the last 20 something years, and he's used sports, okay, for kids to get in, and then from using sports for kids to get in, then he pushes them towards education, tutoring, math and sciences, in order to better their own lives. And he's building a bigger program. That type of nonprofit is the way to go, because what you're doing is the old, what do they say? You're giving somebody a fishing rod as opposed to giving them fish. That's what it is. That is how he's doing a service. That organization is doing a service. All the others, the people running that, they're doing a service for themselves, right? Their own pocketbook, their own living, because they get paid for that, right?
Okay. In relation, there's a question here from Harris Marketing. We are over 100 years since slavery, and many have faithfully given tithes and offerings to the church. What are the tangible outcomes from all those funds? Where should those funds be directed? So I guess he's talking about people who donate to the church.
Well, you can't turn that back now. I mean, that if it's the Anglican Church, it goes to the Anglican Church. If it's the Catholic Church, it goes to the Catholic Church. If it goes to the Catholic Church, well, it's going to pay for, it's going to pay for all those, lawsuits and, the child molesters, priests in the Catholic Church. I mean, your money's gone. Bottom line, your money's gone, man.
In your article, I don't know if it touches, but what about Renaissance and Black thinking of Blacks thinking of each other?
Yes.
Because one of the things I always have my three: trauma, repetition, symbolism. And the trauma, from where I sit there, trauma leads to drama.
Yes.
Right? Black trauma leads to Black drama. And I see a lot of Black trauma that leads to Black drama. I'd like to get your thoughts on the renaissance of Black thinking, Blacks to each other.
Yes. That is a really, really great question. And that's fundamentally the problem. So I'll give you an example. So what white supremacy has done, it has made Black people feel they have to fight against each other in order to, like I said, move up to the big house, move up to the plantation house, right? So Blacks fight against each other, backstab each other to move to the plantation house, right? That was how, it was back then. That mentality still exists, right? Blacks sometimes, and particularly Black men, okay, are so much trying to put each other down in order to say, look at me. It's all about looking at me, right? And, we need to have thinking where, we are looking at each other, we believe in each other, we help each other. And a lot of that for me, to be quite honest with you, a lot of that for me, I've learned from my good friend and, Ray Williams, right? Who is a guy, we're great friends. I call him, he's my Tivoli Massive. That's area in Grenada. And he's the type of guy that is not, it makes you understand that we have to work with each other. We have to invest with each other. We have to lift each other up, right? As opposed to trying to show, look at me, I'm better than anybody else, and put your money where your mouth is, and invest in other Black people, and invest in other Black companies. The Italians do it, the Greeks do it, the Jews do it. Everybody else invests within their own community to try to get businesses moving, but we don't. We won't. It's a shame. And what a lot of Black men do in executive positions is they say, oh, I'm not going to invest in your business. What I'm going to do, I'm going to donate $1,000 to a nonprofit scholarship fund or whatnot. But they won't invest in each other. Okay, they'll give that money to say, oh, look what I've done for the community. But that doesn't help you. What helps is entrepreneurship. Okay, and that's the only way. You tell me another way to create wealth, and we all know how things work. Things work by creating wealth. So, until we start investing in each other, and I say almost loving ourselves. I think we have to love ourselves as Black people. We got to love ourselves first and love who we are. Not look at ourselves as a victim or look at ourselves as anything else. Love ourselves. Stay away from all the narratives that you hear on TV. The Black people I know, okay, and the world I know, the majority of them are, double parent households, have homes. They're like everybody else in Canada, but it's always in the media identifying us like, the criminals, the Jane and Finch crowd. But the majority of Black people are not that, right? So I think for us in Black men, you got to start loving yourself. If you're going to love yourself, then you're going to love your other Black man, and you're going to understand that you're helping your other Black man to do something, and that helps his family. Stop always looking for me. Stop looking for, oh, look what I'm doing. Invest in each other, okay? Because the brilliance of white supremacy is to mentally get you to separate. That's how it works. You don't need chains if you can control the mind. And white supremacy has done a wonderful job, not wonderful, you know what I'm saying, right? Has done a brilliant job, clever job at being able to get in the head of Black men, okay, in order for them to fight against each other and separate from each other and look for the white guy to, hey, good job, buddy, right? To pat them on their back as opposed to helping each other. So I think we got to start loving ourselves as Black men more, because if we love ourselves, then hopefully we'll love each other, and then we'll help each other, and then we'll move forward.
Okay. Harris Marketing saying the crabs in the barrel story. Who put the crabs in the barrel? Who owns the barrel? If the crabs work together, they can climb out. Jay-Z.
There you go. I mean, it's all the same. We all know what to do. It's just that we don't do it.
But what's holding us back, in your opinion? If we know what to do, why aren't we doing it?
Because we don't think in consciousness. We're lazy and we're weak. Simple as that. We're lazy and weak. Let's be honest. Okay? Let's be honest. We're lazy and we're weak. And I'm talking to Black men. I'm not talking to Black women, because Black women have been pulling the load for a long time. And it's not Black women's fault. It's Black men. We're lazy. Okay? We are more we're more want the emotion of everything, and we don't think consciously, we don't think mathematically, we don't think intellectually. We rely too much on emotion. So what happens, right, if you break it down from a white supremacy perspective, white supremacy is an intellectual function that has been created via religion to specifically advance white people. Okay, that's what slavery was about. That's what colonialism was about. And that's why for example, you have English all over the world, right? So that was the intellectual function of white supremacy. Now we adapt the church, okay? We adapt religion. We're over emotional, right? And we don't understand what function, what equation do we need to intellectualize our existence in order for us to succeed. So until we start make a conscious effort to understand the difference between subconscious thinking and conscious thinking and awareness, we are going to get stuck in the lower ends of emotion and not move forward. It goes back 2,000 years. Aristotle told you, right? The beauty of life is to find happiness, okay, and become an individual, okay, free mind, okay, free will, okay, within the universe that exists, okay. So what has to happen is that we have to fundamentally understand that we have to start thinking consciously, because it's like when you drive a car, like people, I'm sure people have told you, you've heard this before. You drive a car, you don't know how you've gotten from there to there because your subconscious is going. So when your subconscious is running your life, the subconscious, I think it was, was it Freud who said 95% of the brain it works in the subconscious, only 5% works in consciousness. So we have to make an effort, okay, to practice better thinking. And if we can practice better thinking and doing the math on everything we do. White people do the math every day. That's why they have more numbers than we do, okay? It's as simple as that. Do the math and you'll start behaving differently. Stay in subconscious, in a subconscious existence, and you'll continue to go lower.
I'll just do a little edit here. I wouldn't say all Black men, a number of Black men.
Correct.
I want to, and also I think
good correction.
Yeah. And also I think a number of Black men I've never been raised with that mentality that you're talking about. So that mentality has to be educated in them, or they have to see the success around them before they move. Because if, as I say, where the mind goes, the person follows. So
well, I would say this, right? I would say this. We have to figure it out. Look at you. Like you figured it out. You did your own thing. You were saying, hey, I'm going to start at my kitchen table, right? I'm going to do this show, right? So we can't make excuses. You didn't make any excuses, Dr. Vibe, right? So we can't make excuses for each other. And most of these Black men grew up with strong Black mothers and strong Black families who told them things. But it's their choice. Life is about decisions and choices. If you don't know, what they say? If you don't know, you better ask somebody. So you know what? Go read, go educate yourself, get the knowledge yourself. We can't continue and say, oh, we don't have this, we don't have this. If you don't have it, go get it, right? Go get it. I don't want to hear any excuses. Enough with the excuses, right? No excuses here. You can't tell me, for example, I'm going to give it in my book. I talk about my grandmother, Mello, how, she created a group of a family of they created a business. They were entrepreneurial. They had a bakery, had a gas station. They send their kids to London School of Economics, Dalhousie, everywhere, educated. They did it. That's my grandmother and grandfather, right? They did it. And that mentality went through my aunts and uncles. It came through to me, okay? And it's going to go through to my kids. Intergenerational, okay? Intergenerational. So you know what? Start now. Don't wait on somebody to come and do for you what you need to do for yourself. Start now. No more excuses. No more excuses. When you go out and have a whole bunch of different kids with a whole bunch of different women, that's a choice. You're not an animal. You have an intellectual capacity to make a decision. And that was your decision. That was your choice. Don't blame society. Don't blame anybody. You have the ability to control your sexual drive. Okay? And when you're able to control yourself, that's what a man is. A man is the ability to control himself and control his intellectual capacity to make decisions. You're not an animal. You're a man. So we can't make excuses.
Perry's bringing fire this morning. He's bringing Friday Fire. FF. Perry's FF. Friday Fire. Harris Marketing saying capitalism is sold as individualism, yet all other communities move collectively.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Excellent point.
Harris Marketing's okay.
Let me just address what he said. What he's saying, what he's saying there, I just want to, if you go back to the father of capitalism, okay, Adam Smith says, in order for the collective to do good, the individuals have to seek personal gain. So once the individual in the community is seeking personal gain, their families do better, their friends do better, they create networks. So ultimately, the individuals have to start in order to build a collective. It can't be waiting for the collective or waiting for this group to help you. It's about starting yourself. And the more people in our community do those things, the collective is strong. It's the same way it happens in all the other communities.
All right. Harris Marketing quotes Jordan Peterson, bad times create strong men create good times create weak men create bad times. Interesting quote from Jordan Peterson, who's a very interesting individual. We'll leave it at that. Naked Property with Osai says, we can't manifest the life we want without taking strategical action steps.
100%. Osai's dead right. Nothing to add there.
So as we start winding down, there were a group of questions, and I think they're basically all asking the same thing. So I'm going to flash them up, and if there's any variation, Hayden asked, what's the first couple of steps to change the way we're currently thinking? Then Harrison Marketing said the Bible replaced Black spirituality with their playbook, the Black Codes and Black Bible. The Black Codes and Black Bible, both were used to keep us in check. What's the path to breaking free from mental bondage? And then the Naked Property of those says, ultimately, it is universal laws that govern all beings of natures, not the church or governmental system. How do you see the best way for us to be in the system, but not of the system? So I think all those questions basically have around the same theme of they're asking, what are our first steps to move forward thought process-wise as Black individuals?
And first, I'll say, don't have all the answers. What I like to do is raise questions. But here's what I think. It's simple. Adhere to the reality. Adhere to reality live in reality. The laws, Newton had the laws of nature. We all know what it is, right? So live within the reality of our existence. We can't create constructs based on fantasy, based on religion, based on all those things. What we have to do is live in reality and understand, if you want to get something, mathematically figure out how you have to do it. That's it. Stop looking for beautiful grand solutions. There are no beautiful grand solutions out there. There's nothing new in the world. Everything has been done and said before. Okay, everything I'm saying is not original thought. It's because I read and I understand, and everything I'm saying is taken from Gandhi, Mandela, like whoever it is, right? Scientists, physicists, whatever, mathematicians. Yeah, I do read math books. I know it's sad, but anyways, so what I'm saying is live in reality. And if you live in reality and stop putting things that don't exist into your world, you're going to be okay and you will progress. And I think that is the best answer. Adherence to reality. And if you adhere to reality, try it for a while and see what happens.
All right. Harris Marketing says, live within objective reality versus delusion.
Yep,
Steve
absolutely.
Seibel. Yeah. So before we let you go, my man, what's up next? How's the book coming along, etc.?
Yeah, the book's coming along, really well. And, part of your you having me on this show and writing the articles are all excerpts of the book one way or the other. Right. So what I'm seeing is that people really want this stuff. And, I'm working hard to do a good job, and I'm trying not to rush it. And the problem is I learn so much every day. I read a lot, and I learn so much every day. So everything is going well. Kids are doing, well, things are good. And from a spirituality perspective, that's wonderful. And I'm trying to live my life based on what I believe is important to me and my family. And that's it. I'm just trying to stay away from the herd mentality, man.
Okay, no problem. Well, the Naked Property with Osai says, I love it. Thanks, Perry. If you want to get in touch with Perry, just go to the article, the most recent article, and you can contact him through that. And Perry, I'd like to say, as always, thank you for taking time out of your positive, productive schedule to share with us. Thank you for sharing and supporting. It's appreciated, not taken for granted. And you always have a home here whenever you're ready.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. And like I said, keep up the good work, and we'll connect.
Thank
And
you.
have a wonderful wonderful Friday.
All right. Take care. Be well. And thanks for making our Friday better.
Okay, my man. Thank you.
Be well. All right, family. Another epic conversation by Perry Douglas. He was bringing it. He was bringing it today. He wasn't fooling around. But like to say thanks to everyone who watched us live or on the replay. If you want to watch replays of these epic conversations, it's scrolling along the bottom. You can watch replays at my website, the drvibeshow.com. You can also watch replays at the ACBN, Afro-Caribbean Business Facebook page, or not my website. No, you can watch replays of the Morning Vibe on my YouTube and Facebook page, also the Afro-Canadian Business Network Facebook and YouTube page, and also Ryan Oneil Knight on YouTube. So before we close out, just want to see if we have any more comments. And the Naked Property goes, thanks, Dr. Vibe. Well, thank you back. So we will be back on Monday morning, 9 a.m. We're Eastern time. We're speaking. Then Ryan will be back with us. And as always, close off with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can see it. Well, if you can dream it, you can achieve it. Sorry about that. And I just forgot that now because I have... Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourself grace. And don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Very important these days. A lot of energy you need to get through most of these days, but don't just manage your time, manage your energy. We will see you back on Monday morning, and we're speaking. Ryan will be back with us. God bless, peace well, keep the faith, and walk good.